Well, here we go. Dan, thanks for joining me and welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Victor. It's a I've we've conversated a little bit, but never in person. So
Right, right. This is the first, I think, what we have in
oh, I take that
common.
back. I lied. Didn't we? Did we ever do a roundtable? The
No,
old roundtable we had.
I don't
You were
think
never
so.
there.
Uh-uh.
Maybe I'm just so used to hearing your voice, and I'm thinking I've talked to you before. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I met you, I guess, through a chat, and that's through over at Bo's 1 Million Cubs project. He does a morning podcast or show,
Mhm.
and that's where I've kind of seen you on there in the chat, and we've commented back and forth a little bit. I you did catch my attention because you were at one point in the Chicagoland area, and
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
kind of where I'm from, and so that's what kind of caught my ear and my attention to you. But I love Bo. I don't know. Shout out to Bo over at 1 Million Cubs Project. He's like
Oh,
he's like my morning ritual show.
7 a.m. Central right now.
Yeah,
The time change, yeah. 7 a.m.
yeah,
Central.
yeah. And highly recommend Bo's channel if you guys have not checked him out. Make sure you do so. It's a great show. A lot of it, what he does is eBay seller focused, but he touches on a wide variety of topics. Dan, you have an eBay store?
I do not have an eBay store. I have other social media, but I I saw last time I had any sold anything on eBay was before COVID when Korea had actually had affordable shipping. Right now they still don't. They only have express shipping right now, and I can't send anything affordably, so I can't really sell anything.
I got you. So what's your tie with Bo?
I don't know if I was one of the originals with Bo, but I remember watching Hobby Evolution. That's the name of the show. I was there pretty early. I don't know if I was one of the, I don't know what you would consider original, but I was one of the earlier ones. But I was watching his show all the time, and I went home last year. Oh, so I went home in 2019, and I went home again last year for the first time since 2019. And I actually made it up took 2 hour drive up to Madison, and I got to meet Bo, and we went out for dinner afterwards and had some what are those things? Cheese curds,
Okay.
and they were delicious. And no, it was great meeting Bo and going to a show. It was pretty lively. That's the first time I'd been to a card show maybe in a 2013, 2014 Chicago National. But yeah, it was really entertaining, and I enjoyed meeting him, and I was looking forward to it because I went up there to meet him. I mean, I collect stuff that people probably don't have unless they're Mark Burley rare cards I don't have, or Korean cards that people don't have. So I went up there with the main thing is to meet Bo.
To meet Bo. Okay, that's cool. Well, I invited you on the show because a couple of reasons, and that's because I'm doing a series where I'm wanting to learn about the sports card market and rookie cards
Mhm.
of other countries, and you are going to be representing South Korea. But I also invited you on because I like you really, to be honest with you, you are the inspiration for this series.
Wow.
Looking through YouTube, I came across one of the lives that you recently did, and you do lives. We can talk a little bit about that later, but you do lives with several of your collecting friends that also live in or collect cards of foreign ball players, and that's kind of what really inspired this. And so, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. No
And
idea.
I do get a lot of questions on this topic, and so I wanted us to start off specifically. Tell me where you grew up and kind of how you ended up in South Korea.
All right. I tend to blabble, so I'll make this as concise as I can. I grew up in Chicago on the southwest side near Midway Airport. I grew up a White Sox fan. My dad was a diehard Sox fan. Thankfully, the Sox won in '05 before he passed away in 2011. So that
Oh,
was, yeah. So he grew up watching Nellie Fox, Louis Aparicio. Those were his guys. And yeah, he got me into being a White Sox fan. I went to high school right near Comiskey and on the other side of the expressway. But I lived in Chicago till I was 24, and then I lived in Seattle. I'm sorry, Portland, Oregon for 2 years, Seattle, Washington for 5 years. Moved back to Chicago and lived in Oak Park for 7 years, and then I moved to Korea in 2014. And just in case you were asking, I collected between I started collecting when I was maybe 1986, 1987, and then I stopped. Now that I think about it, I did not collect very long when I was young, maybe until maybe 90, 91, and then I stopped collecting. And then I didn't get back into player collecting, maybe 2011.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question, but let's go back to you said you were in South Korea as of 2014.
Yeah, January 2014, I moved to Korea.
And you're still there.
Yeah, this is my 10th year living here.
Okay, and what do you do in South Korea?
I teach English conversation, and I teach at an all-girls middle school right now, and I've been here at that school for 9 years.
Another English teacher, that very similar to Javad, who we had on last week.
If you're speaking to a foreigner that's into baseball cards that lives in Asia, it's a good chance they're a teacher.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a flip of a coin. I mean, don't get me wrong, people do other contract work here, but that's my assumption.
Okay. And so now we're getting into what you collect. Let's give us a little bit of background, a little bit with the origin story of how you started collecting and why.
Oh, all right. So in 1986, 1987, I was born in 76. So in 1986, I was 10. In 87, I do remember collecting 87 tops. I remember collecting Donruss. Donruss was my favorite in 87. Flair, I enjoyed Flair as well. And then, of course, in 88 and 89, Score came around, and then 89 had Upper Deck. And I don't know if I ever bought a 89 Upper Deck pack because those were expensive. Those might have been like $1.25. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I mean, mostly just collecting cards and buying packs. And I actually went in those years. I actually did try building sets. I'm not interested in building sets now, but I think right when I started, many kids were into building sets.
Okay.
Back then.
Now I did notice on your YouTube videos that you do collect or put together PSA set registries. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so so I played baseball my life, and one of my good friends that was on one of my teams, he was into collecting baseball cards, and I think he's the one that actually got me back into collecting because I might have had some Don Mattingly cards, but I wasn't really pursuing collecting, and he got me into using PSA to grade my Don Mattingly cards, and no monetary. There was nothing I wasn't trying to make my cards more so I can sell them for more later. It was just really cool to have it slabbed with the flip and having all the information on there. I thought it was a really cool idea. And so then I started buying lots of semi-rigids and buying all the Don Mattingly cards I could find. And it got to a point where I had maybe 800 Don Mattingly cards graded. And I was number 2 on the registry, and I was maybe at like 60%. But within the last 2 or 3 years, I've actually became disinterested in collecting Mattingly, and I could probably sell off most of my cards there, as I have been. When I go home for vacation in summers, I go to my friend's house and try and sell off all the Mattingly I can while I'm there, go back home, and plan to do it again until I'm fresh out of all my old Don Mattingly inventory.
And so you were trying to put together what, the master set registry?
Master. Yeah. Well, no, if you think about it, I mean, it's nothing compared to what they have now, you know? It's like,
yeah.
The guys, yeah. Wander Franco has more rookie cards than Mattingly had in his playing career. You know?
Right.
I want to say he had around 1,400 cards in his player master set registry, Mattingly. And I think Mattingly had the most cards graded that was a non-Hall of Famer at the time, the last time I checked. I know McGuire was up there, Pete Rose was up there, Bo Jackson was up there, but I think Mattingly was the most graded non-Hall of Famer. But yeah, there's a Don Mattingly collector group. There's a lot of guys in there that grade his set as well. But yeah, I had a lot. I spent so much money. But remember, when I started grading Mattingly cards with PSA in maybe 2012, it was like $4.25 per card.
Wow.
So I guess I didn't really think about it now. All right, now it's like $15 if you're lucky. Yeah.
If you're lucky, yeah. I think they got a special for $19 now for. Well, that's ultra modern. But anyways, yeah, I do Roberto Clemente and Michael Jordan, but I do the basic set registry. I'm not going to get too crazy.
So the basic, does that include like hoops and tops and
Yeah, all the main brands basically for every year,
Okay.
and then I do a ton of like rookie card set registries for certain players that are meaningful to me. You know what I mean? That I like,
Yeah.
that I enjoyed, that I watched, and I have a
Have
lot of
you,
respect
have you
for.
yourself added any to to PSA where they did you ever start your own set?
On
Like
what now?
have you ever requested somebody to be added?
No.
Other than Clemente, I'm sure we're already there.
Right. No, I never requested any set registries, but that's how I like to do it. I want to get into
I'm sorry. Do you mind if I show you?
yeah,
I'm going to show you
show us,
something real
please.
quick first. So this is Lee Sung Yup. He is a Korean baseball player. He retired in 27. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. He retired after 20. Shame on me. I should know this already. I think he retired after 2021. He is now he played for the Samsung Lions his entire career, with Japan being like stuck in the middle between his Korean playing years. I do create his cards. I added his set to the PSA registry,
Oh, did you?
and I have around 230 of his cards graded and added to the registry. So this is more
Wow.
sentimental to me because of my living here, and he played here. He's from here where I live, and so that's this guy I'm still actively doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition a little bit to your YouTube channel. I know looks like you've been making sports card content for about 9 years now. And tell us a little bit about what your YouTube channel is about and how it's evolved over the years.
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube all right, so my YouTube handle is SWPOTF2, which means Star Wars Power of the Force 2. Those were Star Wars figures, and I used to collect those, and I don't know why I use that name. But if you just search Korean cardboard, 2 words, you'll find my content on YouTube. But I started in 2014, 2015, I think, making videos, and basically, I can't believe I'm saying this, I actually videoed box breaks. I don't buy boxes anymore, but it was mostly all Korean card content. When I came to Korea, I got back into collecting, aside from my manually stuff when I got back into 2011. But most of my content is going to be Korean baseball cards, Japanese baseball cards, Mark Burley or Lee Sung Yup, or vintage Japanese baseball player baseball card content. That's most of what my video will have.
Okay.
And I think initially when I made it, my channel is going to be more about my life in Korea, but I haven't really done many of those videos, and I don't even know if I have any of them up anymore. But mostly just baseball content, card content.
So tell me a little bit about the lives that you're doing. What are I know you got a few of your friends on there with you.
All right. So the lives that I've done more recently are going to be Japanese Minkos, and those are they could be various shapes. So this is a Japanese baseball card Minko from like the 50s or 60s. We all collect different types of Minkos. One guy specializes in anime. One guy specializes in sumo. Another guy specializes in non-sport, and he does collect baseball. But so here's a Japanese.
Yeah, show us some more of these cards. These are so cool. Look
Right,
at
so
these
this
guys.
is, I don't know who all these players are. I don't know all their names, but this is around. There's like various. So this set. So there's a guy called Gary Engel. He actually made a Minko guide, and he's been doing this for a very long time. And so I believe this set is called Math Equation in Red Circle or something like that. That's how we named the set. So you can just know that's that set if you just look for that the equation in the red circle. Then there's by the way, this is JRM, Japanese round Minko. Now this one is Japanese die cut Minko. National baseball player on a die cut, and on the back, I don't remember what this set is called. Not all the sets are cataloged, so we do try to help him. I'll send him images. It's not going to focus, but so these are die cut Minkos, and then JCM are just these normal. I don't know if it's just Japanese card Minko. I don't know what the C stands for. I keep forgetting to ask Gary. So there's JRM, JCM, and then there's JBR, which is Japanese bromide, which are typically black and whites, and it can or cannot be, may or may not be blank backed. And then there's also bigger rounds too. There's different size rounds. So these are smaller ones. These are bigger rounds, and there's some are even bigger than this one, but I don't have any in front.
Look at the colors on that. It's just, and what year are these? I mean, how do you?
So I believe this has to be around 1959, 1960.
Wow.
Oh, this one's kind of beat up, but I want to get a new one. But yeah, most of the stuff I collect are
vintage.
Yeah, so 47, 48, 49 are the ones I collect are mostly like this. These are mostly 47 through 50, 1947 through 1950. Same with the rounds I showed you. But then when we get into these type of cards, these are more 50s and 60s.
Fascinating.
Yeah, these are all Japanese, by the way.
Okay, and the
None of
colors on them are just and you know how to read them. I mean,
No, I don't know how to read Japanese. I know some of the guys by their face, but
okay,
some of the guys that I mentioned, some of them do know how to read some Japanese. Some are better than others. My good friend Robert, he's Prestige Collectibles. You might see him selling stuff and having auctions on his website, but he's spent a lot of time in Japan, and he could speak Japanese. But yeah, so I'm learning a little bit here and there. I've been in Korea for 10 years, and I can't hold a conversation very well, and I can't remember any vocabulary. So going to Japanese would be even harder than Korean's easier than Japanese, but there's no way in heck I can remember any of this Japanese stuff.
What can you tell me? Because I've been watching your videos. What can you tell me about the numbering on the back? It's usually like a really long number.
Well, this one isn't too long. Most of these from the 50s and 60s have a 6-digit number, and they could be completely random. They don't necessarily match the fronts. All right. So if you buy Gary's guide, I'm trying to find a different one. Okay, sometimes, so these are scoreboard backs from 1958, 1959. These numbers do not match the player on the front. The backs can be, these numbers can be completely random. So this player can have various different numbers on the back.
So we don't know what that number is.
You would have to go by the description, and then he'll describe like the text here, and then maybe a number, and then he'll say maybe, I don't know this guy's name, but he'll say blah blah blah, holding 2 bats or something like that. That's how the description would be, and he has it like listed in the catalog. This one happens to be, or I see this red stamp.
Yeah,
this happens to be a winner card. I think, because I don't know if it's because of the 3 slashes. This might be 3rd place winner, and I don't entirely, to my knowledge, I believe all these cards were originally in a big sheet. You might have seen sheets being sold on eBay. So they would cut them, and then I think they would pack them and sell them. And I don't, if I remember correctly, this might have been like a mom and pop who started this. To be honest, I have not read up the history on Japanese Menkos, and I should have by now. But there are winner stamps. So if you pick this card in your pack, you would go to the owner, and he would give you like a prize, like a 3rd place prize, and you might be like, maybe you'd win this or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
So there's no like card number, basically. It goes by description mainly.
Correct. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To my knowledge, no. I have never seen all these. I've never seen cards being numbered that way. But I'm sorry. But like this one has like a little animated back. That number. Sometimes this. All right. So sometimes Gary uses these numbers because he might not have seen other numbers on these cards. So on some sets, he will use these numbers. Otherwise, he will use a description on the front of the card.
Gotcha.
To make checklists.
I got you.
Yeah. But I've been getting into Japanese cards more so the last year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, so you and your friends, they getting back to topic. You and your friends, you guys do these lives, and you're basically, this is what you guys talk about. All these different types of,
I mean,
very educational. It really is. It's fascinating.
The lives with the guys you're just noticing, we've only been live like twice now. I would do lives before, like interviews and stuff for like other people in the card industry, the card hobby. You know some of them, like Mark Hoyle and a few others.
Okay.
I did interviews about them and how they came up collecting cards and stuff like that. So I did a bunch of interviews with that. But this is when I got into this stuff, and I've been like in Asia, as you can imagine, not a lot of people collect Asian cards, so you get to know all the same people. And my friend Ryan, who has a blog called, maybe you know of it, maybe you don't. It's called thiscardiscool.blogspot.com, and he posts a lot of different Japanese stuff. He wants to collect like a single card of every single Japanese baseball card set, whether it's like a subset or whatever. He has a really cool website, and I met in his comments on blog posts. I met these guys that you saw me talk with the last 2 months, and I met them on his blog, or NPP Card Guy's blog. Dave's blog. And so, like I said, there's going to be only like maybe under 10 of us that I know that collect all this stuff in the entire hobby that I know personally, maybe 10 people. And I actually have met maybe 2 or 3 of them in person. Robert Clevens, he is Prestige Collectibles. He's at the National every year. He's the only only table that will have Japanese stuff or
I've
Asian
met
stuff.
him. Yep.
You might have seen him, but
Yep.
yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you might even spoken to him.
Yeah.
But have you?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. I'm sorry, I was talking over you. I didn't hear you. But yeah, I've met Dave. I met Dave MPP Garkai in Tokyo a couple years ago, and I met Robert in Chicago, and I hope to see him again. I am planning to go to Chicago this summer, so I hope to.
Good.
I assume you're going.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I hope that I plan to meet you there then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to try and meet as many people as I can. But yeah, as far as the Asian guys, those are the living in Asia or collect Asia. Those are the two guys that I met. And I'm sorry, I met Ryan too. This card is cool. I met Ryan as well, and he was living in Chiba, Tokyo at the time. So yeah, so those guys that you're talking about, we had our first show like a month and a half ago, and then I said, "Do you guys want to do this again, like every month?" And we will show our pickups every month what we purchased. And they said, "Sure." So you'll probably see another one in late May.
I would definitely highly recommend that you guys keep doing those, and I would highly recommend my viewers go to Dan's channel and check out those lives. And you want to learn a few things about this market. I'm intrigued. I really am. And like I said earlier, you're the inspiration really for this entire series. So keep doing what you're doing. I think you got something there. You're doing something right. You found a niche or a niche, however you want to say it, but you found something that not everybody's doing. And that's the kind of stuff that I think eventually, if you're consistent at it, it's gonna catch on, because what you guys are doing is really interesting. I want to go ahead and transition now into the sports card market per se, because here's the problem that I'm having, Dan, is I get a lot of people emailing me or leaving comments asking me questions on my thoughts about Shohei Ohtani's Japanese rookie cards, and there's certain collectors that want to keep things separate, me being one of them. I think there's two different markets involved. There's the North American market, there's the Japanese market, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that historically within the hobby, there has been some ambiguity here between the two markets, because we're really kind of ignorant. The majority of us are kind of ignorant to that market, and there's never been a limelight put on it like it is now because of Shohei. Maybe with Ichiro a little bit, there was some smoke happening there, but what I'm trying to do is gain some understanding here, okay? And so I want to get into your opinion of, let's just say, Shohei Ohtani rookie cards. How do you feel about those?
All right, so the only American cards that I collect are Mark Buehrle cards. So he retired after 2015. So if I collect his cards, they're all post-playing autos or whatever. I don't know a lot about American cards, to be honest, other than when Buehrle cards are released, then I'll go look on eBay for singles. Okay. I haven't bought a pack or a box of American cards, and I don't know if I ever have since 1987 at a flea market.
Okay, no, that's respectable.
So yeah, I have bought. More recently, I bought Korean cards in boxes. That's
okay, so let's switch on that.
Sure.
What is the sports card market like in South Korea?
All right, so to my knowledge, I have not spoken in person to a lot of Korean card collectors. We do have a show in Seoul that wasn't happening for a few years. I have not been to it. I don't live near Seoul. I live about 2 hours by train from Seoul. And to my knowledge, and from what I've heard, they do not carry, a lot of those sellers do not have a lot of vintage Korean cards, is what I would go up there for. Would it be cool to go and meet people? Sure, but I just don't want to pay what it costs to go there and come back on the train, as well as a hotel or house to overnight. But as far as I know, the Korean card market, they only sell boxes. There's one card manufacturer, and they make maybe one to maybe usually 2 sets a year.
Okay.
Here in Korea by the same card maker. One card will be like a premium set. One card will be a regular set. The premium cards often have like maybe nicer parallels, autographs, and those will cost more than the regular set, which often have just a basic not blank back, but like a logo back with no stats. and
Okay.
those are really cheap, typically compared to the premium set. And more recently, the last couple years, they were releasing boxes. All the cards are serial. There's no base. All the cards are serialed, and they're
No
anywhere
base,
from,
huh?
yes, no base. which I don't buy. I haven't bought any sets in the last 2 years. I'm sorry, box. They do not. All your sets here have to be collated. You have to buy boxes to make the sets. They don't sell wrapped sets.
Right,
complete
right,
sets.
right.
So everything has to be bought in boxes. Occasionally, you'll see packs being sold. That I would never advise buying individual packs. But I don't know. I don't know if you can weigh them or not. But all these, oftentimes with these rippers, there are guys who buy Korean guys who buy cases of cards here, then rip stuff and hope to get hits and autos and patches or whatever. But then I've heard where they'll get their card they want after maybe opening their fourth pack, and then they will sell the rest of the packs individually, knowing that there's not a hit in any of them. So that's why I would advise buying any Korean individual packs here.
Yeah. What's the name of that card manufacturer, by the way?
Well, now, all right, so when I came to Korea, it was called Entrive Duel, Duael, Entrive Duel. Then it went to SMG Entrive. Now the company name is Daewon Media, but they go by the term SCC, Sports Card Collector.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a generic name, but
3 owners in the last 10 years, huh?
Yeah. Well, so all right. Now I think this might blow your mind. I was going to mention this because I think it would blow your mind. So I have researched and collected a lot of older Korean cards. As I mentioned before we started, 1982 is when KBO started, and they did have various cards released here and there. But Teleka was the biggest company, and I believe they started around 1997, and that's the earliest Teleka card I have, I believe. So, but from 2002 until 2013, there was no licensed card manufacturer. For 11 to 12 years, there were no Korean baseball cards being made.
So what do we do?
I don't know what they did. I wasn't here.
Okay.
But,
so that's why.
Let me specify this. So I know Doosan, which is one of the teams here. I think they're a tire company. They actually had team sets released, and they were like bigger. They weren't normal size cards. They were bigger cards, and there were only like 6 cards in the set. And I don't know. I don't remember how they were released. It was before I came here.
Okay.
But from 2002 to 2013, there were no Korean baseball cards released.
Wow.
Imagine that in America now.
Yeah.
You know?
Do they sell American card like Topps, Panini?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
So again, I don't go to a lot of I live in Daegu, and it's to my knowledge, I don't know of any baseball card shops in Daegu. They're all in like Seoul. That's where you're going to see most of your stuff.
The main stuff, yeah.
Some in Busan, which is an hour south of me, and I sometimes go to, but I've never really searched to see if there are any sets up or card shops there. But yes, you'll have. Basketball and hockey and football. American football are not big here at all.
Okay.
Baseball is big, and NBA is big.
Yeah.
Premier League soccer is kind of big. I would say it's probably third behind the first two I mentioned, MLB and NBA. Those are the 2 biggest American sports, and then Premier Soccer is pretty big. Auto racing, I don't think is very big here, but I do see sellers selling boxes of American product. Yes.
What's more popular, the American product or the South Korean product?
For baseball, I don't know. To be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So there are Naver. Naver is a website. It's similar to Google for Korea. It's called Naver, and they have cafes where you could join. You have to log in and make an account and free, and then you can see all the posts. It's like a forum, and you'll have people buying and selling or sharing their collection, showing you what they bought, what they picked up. And again in the buying buy sell trade section, I'm always looking for the Isam Yep guy behind me, and that's what I'm looking for. But because I don't buy boxes or stuff anymore, so if something's pulled, I try and overpay for it. But as far as I'll probably, based on what I see and people posting, I mean, MLB is so popular here. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, we will, like when a Korean player is playing in the MLB, you will see his games on Korean TV here. So when Ryu is pitching he's on Toronto now, you'll see his games. When Shin Soo-Choo was playing for Rangers, we'd have Rangers games on. Ha-Seong Kim in San Diego. We have Padres games here now. So typically that's how it is as far as watching baseball. They'll often have Korean players teams here. We can watch those.
Okay.
But I'd probably say maybe even as far as MLB and KBO collecting.
Okay. And what about we have eBay. What's the selling platform out there?
Neighbor Cafe. Or
Neighbor Cafe.
Yeah, there are no auction sites here or any kind of sites. Well, I take that there are some like small websites that have like maybe individual sellers who might have a company. I'm not sure if it says co.kr, I'm assuming it's a company and it's an actual company. There are websites that sell stuff, but it's not like an auction site like eBay. There's nothing like eBay in Korea. So when I'm buying cards, I will usually go on Neighbor and type in the Korean player's name, and maybe it'll pop up in the shopping section, or I will just go on those Neighbor Cafe sites and try and find cards I want in that in the Neighbor Cafe. But we do have two sites called Coupang and Gmarket. They do sell boxes of cards, but sometimes it's not very plentiful. You might have to try and buy it as soon as you can.
Man, that is so interesting. I tell you. What about what about the rookie card? Do collectors, what's the vibe out there when it comes to rookie cards?
I would say the rookie card is ideally. I have seen rookie cards have the typical prices that compared to their other cards, their second or third year cards. Their rookie card would definitely be the highest. I don't know. You probably don't know about him. Lee Jung-ha or Lee Jung-hoo. I'm forgetting his name. He's the newest star in KBO. He plays for the Kiwoom Heroes. He is the son of a former KBO star, and he might try and I forgot the tournament. I think he'll play in Korea one more year, and then he will try and go into the international pool and play in the MLB. He has a really good shot.
Let's get into the leagues. What kind of leagues do we have in South Korea?
We have so the main league is called the KBO, Korea Baseball Organization, not Korean, Korea Baseball Organization. There are 10 teams in the league. 5 of them are in the Seoul area, and the rest of them are in different parts of the country. So there's 10 teams. There were 9 teams when I came to Korea in 2014. The 10th one was added 2015, the KT Wiz. And so we have 10 teams. I think there were originally 6 teams in 1982. But in Korea, there's only one baseball league, and it's the KBO, and the minor league is called the Futures League, and that's where the guys will go down if they're not playing well, or if they just drafted some players, they'll start in the Futures League, and then they will eventually come up. And every team is allowed 3 foreign players at one time, and it's either 2 pitchers and one offensive player, or 2 offensive players and 1 pitcher. You can't have 3 of each. 3 of one.
Wow, only 3 foreign players are allowed, huh?
They want as much as they just want to be able to, I guess, have their own talent,
Right.
And I would probably, not including Cuba or any of the Hispanic leagues, before the last few years, Korea has not played well in tournaments. But before that, it was them, USA, Cuba, and Japan always vying for WBC or other tournament titles. That Korea used to be really good at playing in these tournaments and not getting wasted by other teams that America would always think, they're going to win. But Japan is, as you saw, Japan beat USA. It was an amazing game. I don't know if you got to watch it.
Oh, yes, I did. Are you kidding me? I was glued to the set, man.
Yeah. But
what a game.
So Korea only has one league, and the minors is called the Futures League.
So who's the Babe Ruth of the South Korean baseball players?
You might have a few active players. There's a guy named Choi Jung. In America, they say Choi, but in Korean it's pronounced Che. So Che Jung or Jung Che. Jung Che in English. Che is the last name. So in Korea it's Che Jung. He's vying to break. All right, so this guy is the current home run leader, and all right. So Lee Seung-yup played in Korea and Japan. He never played in America. I know he went to a few spring trainings, but he never signed with the American team. So I don't know if I would fault him for that. But Shin Chu Su, I can't even say his name anymore. Chu, who played for the Rangers and the Indians at the time, he was a very successful Korean player. Ryu, Chan-ho Park, those are the more popular ones. But as far as hitters go, I would probably say Lee Seung-yup, this guy. He's retired, but as far as now, I would probably say Che Jung because he has a lot of home runs. He has a high average. Che Jung is probably who I would say is the next closest.
And so he would be like all-time great leader.
This guy?
Yeah.
I think somebody just broke his doubles. Che Hyung Woo, who used to play with this guy on the Samsung Lions, I think he just hit his 450th double, which broke his record, I believe. So Che Hyung Woo, who's still playing, he's pretty high up there too. But to be honest, I haven't looked at all the stats for all of these players. I did do a video last year with George KBO Collections, who lives here, and he's lived here longer than me. We occasionally do trading, but he mentioned him. But right now, I would probably say Choi Jung because he might actually break the all-time home run record for a KBO player, if you want to use that as a Babe Ruth
right
record.
Okay, and is there any is there any resource? How do you learn about that? Is there any books or resources or magazines?
It's funny you mentioned that. My friend Justin, who lived here like 3 different times because he was in the Air Force at the time, he did 3 different tours living in Korea, and he found out about baseball cards from my blog, and in 2014 or 2015. All of my research came from using Naver or Google to find my information on Japanese or on Korean baseball cards, or if I go onto like the Naver cafe I told you about, I will try and buy all the older Korean cards I can find because they're not plentiful by any means, not bountiful. And a lot of times, I guess it could happen anywhere. Oftentimes, I think they're overpricing some of their cards, but they do that in the US too. So I guess I can't really use that as a point. But it's all research. All research on the internet is how I found out most of my information.
Really? And there's no like over here we have like Cardboard Connection, right?
Right.
If you need any
my knowledge.
Okay. Man, that's interesting. I mean, there's got to be a wealth of cards out there that are not.
All right. So there's a guy named Thomas St. John. He's been in Korea for a long time as well, maybe 25 years. I haven't spoken to him for a little bit. I think he's around my age, but he's lived here for a long time. And I know he was working on a book. They had a lot of checklists and stuff in it. And I don't know. He's been working on it for a while. And again, he said he was going to release it soon, but that was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. And I haven't really contacted him much recently, but he was working on something. It was a book, and I think it was about card sets. I'm not entirely sure. I've basically uploaded all my information I know through my research from the cards I have, and I put everything on TCDB as checklists for every single set I have or know of.
You have a website as well, right?
I do. KoreanCardboard.blogspot.com. I sometimes do a blog. Sometimes I'll update it with foreigner information. I've tracked every single foreign player in Korea from 1998 is when the first foreign player started playing here until now. I've tracked every single team they've played for, how many years they played here. So you can find all that information on the menu on the left hand side. It'll say foreign players list. And I know a lot of people are interested in keeping up with foreign players in Asian leagues. So for KBO, I have a list there. And if you're looking for a certain player, you can probably find them on the long list of players. There's around 370.
I don't know, Dan. I think, listening to you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's hard to a North American collector to really enjoy this market because we don't have access to the games. We don't have access to the players. We don't even know who most of them are. Who's the Babe Ruth of the South Korean League? How many collectors do you think really actually know that information?
Right.
I think it's very few.
Well, when COVID hit, KBO was one of the first teams to actually have baseball before MLB started, and they had a huge surge in interest. And Mina Kimes on ESPN did an article or something like that. She actually did an article before COVID about the bat flip, which is really interesting. Mm-hmm. And I recommend people watch that or go read it. But they had a huge surge in viewership, and now you can't view it. You have to use a VPN, and if you're lucky, you can go through Naver. Dan Kurtz at which is my KBO, I think my KBO on Twitter. He supplies a lot of information. He lived here with his wife, who was I believe in the Army, but they're back in Arizona now. And he every day he's posting normal ESPN. He's posting videos and clips of KBO games. I don't know how, but he's doing all that. He's been doing it for years, and he's definitely a good source for KBO information and current baseball stuff and stats and everything and videos. But he was asking me about baseball card information. But I wish KBO would actually have some kind of agreement with MLB. I don't know if it's Daniel Kurtz is his name. He's the one that does my KBO page. He was giving some of that information as far as why there's no TV license for U.S. viewership. And if they had U.S. viewership, then maybe you wouldn't be asking me these questions. You can
Right,
watch it.
right.
I don't know why they do that. And I never really got a good answer as far as why there are no foreign baseball players in Korean card sets.
Yeah. All right, you got any more cards you can show us, man? love the cards. You got anything?
All right, Korean, or it could be anything.
Anything.
All right. So this guy's name is Katsuya Nomura. He was a catcher for the Nankai Hawks for most of his career, and then he played for Cebu Lions and a few other teams. He's arguably maybe the second or third best player in the history of NPB, Japanese League. He was a catcher. Now, keep in mind, he was a catcher for most of his life. He didn't play catcher for 10 seasons, then first base for the next 10 seasons. He played catcher for most of his life. So this is one of his cards that I really, really like. Trying to get a better focus here. So, and he is, like I said, he's probably second or third greatest player ever. And this is obviously all in Japanese here. There you go. So his name is Katsuya Nomura, and he was mostly a catcher for most of his career. And he's up there in all the stats. He played for a long time. I forgot how long he played. He played for, I want to say, maybe 25 years, if not longer. But I know in Japan and Korea, many players play into their early 40s. Yeah, offensive players, not just pitchers. Here is one of Masashi Kaneda. He died recently. Oh, I'm sorry, Nomura died a few years ago as well. And Kaneda, he had 400 wins, and he's arguably the best Korean Japanese pitcher of all time. Wow. And a lot of these players were not born in Japan, but their parents were. Or something like that. But I think Kaneda was actually, I want to say, and there's a Japanese term for it. Weigukin in Korean means foreigner, but I don't think he was born in Japan.
Is that his rookie card or no?
No. I don't have his rookie card. I believe was 1954. I tried to bid on it a couple of years ago, but it was more than $300. But these are normal Menkos. I don't remember when he finished, but he played most of his years with the Tokyo Yakult Swallows. And then he eventually played for Yomiuri Giants. This is another Nomura in Menko form on the Hawks. This is Nakanishi. I love some of these, like the solid color backs. Sometimes
I do. Man, I tell you.
Yeah, these things really pop out. Here's a bromide of Kazuhisa Inao. He was a pitcher, maybe the third best all time. This is a bromide, black and white, in a blank back. Okay. And I'm sure you've heard of Sadaharu O. I don't have, this is the only card I have standing out.
Dan, I wish I would.
This is an older one. This is a newer one. This is like a 1975 bone, like Bat and Bones. This is the name of the set, Bat and Bones set. So this one isn't worth much, but I have 3 of them. I have some more of his cards I didn't pull out though. But what I love collecting with this stuff is like these older magazines that display.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah. This is Shiga Nagashima. He's Japanese. He played with Sadaharu O his entire career. Those are the O and Nagashima were the power, like 2-3 or 3-4 punch in the many years that the Yomiuri Giants won World Series. I started player collecting him because his cards were much more affordable than Sadaharu O. O's cards are even more expensive now, and I only have like maybe 3 or 4 O cards. But I have been player collecting him, and I have around maybe 115 different Menkos of Nagashima. And I can't not show you this. This is Shugo Nagashima, and this is, I believe these were on Pepsi on the tops of plastic Pepsi products in maybe around 2003. So it's just a progression of him fielding and throwing a ball to first base.
Very cool. Look at that.
Yeah. Actually, I told Mark Hoyle about this and he wanted to buy one, and I linked him to it, and he actually got it for like $15.
Nice.
So, so it's a really great deal.
That's something you don't see every day right there.
No, and they actually have they have one of I think there's a different version of this one as well, and they have one of Ichiro's bat, like coming down here and bringing his bat up and like holding it and holding it. Yeah. They have one of those for these two.
Oh, I would love that one.
And here's another. Let me show you this one. So this is Kazuhisa Ino on like a 1959 magazine. I love this picture of him. This one's beautiful. And then
1959.
Yeah, and then obviously Japanese. So it's awesome to see some of this stuff. I did share this here. All the stuff's spilling over. But here's one of Kaneda. I thought this was a comic book. It is, but it's actually thick like a book. I thought I was buying a comic book, but I actually bought a book. And inside this, going from like front to back, I believe, in Japanese. But this is actually a comic with the player from the front is actually in the comic. So that's pretty cool, huh?
Okay.
So I actually bought these because I like to display these in the background.
Sure.
That's why I love buying these. So cool. Mostly it's cards, magazines, and if I see some cool items like this, then I'll pick them up. I use in my last, or I think it was the first show or the second show. By the way, I'm calling those Minko Meetup, episode 1 and 2, episode 2.
Minko Meetups, yeah.
And so we did discuss like how you can buy a lot of this stuff in Japan, and I listed like in the comment notes, the video notes, I listed a bunch of websites that you can use that are third party bidders for you on the auction sites, Japanese Yahoo auctions and Mercari auctions. I'm sure you've heard of Mercari. They have a Japanese one as well. I think I might start it in Japan, but those are the two big ones in Japan, and you can use these other companies that are charging small fees to buy the stuff, and they'll ship it to you.
All right. Well, Dan, man, how can I thank you enough for your insight in this topic? I tell you, it's been mind blowing to me. Just so much that's out there, so much that we don't know about, or so much that I don't know about, I should say.
Yeah.
But very intriguing. Thank you for your time. Where can we reach you again? Give us your socials and
So on YouTube, if you search Korean Cardboard, you'll probably find my stuff. But I think it's my handle on YouTube is SWPOTF2. But again, it'd be easier if you just search Korean Cardboard, then click on the video, and then click on videos or live, and you'll see all my videos. On Instagram and Twitter, I am Korean Cardboard, one word, as you see in my name on the screen here.
Okay.
And my blog is koreancardboard.blogspot.com, and I am not on TikTok.
All right. Beautiful, man. Hey, thanks.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me on Twitter. I'm on there most of the time. That would be your best bet as far as contacting me, would be on Twitter.
Okay. Well, there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Dan. I hope you found it interesting and hope you learned something. I know I did. Check out Dan on YouTube at Korean Cardboard. And thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.